What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, the Blu-ray Bandit, back once again with another pawn shop haul video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your best shot at a free digital code. I'm up in Georgia doing some Blu-ray hunting. Let's see what I can find. Welcome back. I just got back from Georgia, hit a couple of pawn shops and a thrift store while I was out there. Found some titles I've never seen down here in Orlando. Let's take a look. The first place I went was a thrift store, which I don't really have much luck with here in Orlando, but I did all right at this one. This was up in Blue Ridge, Georgia, which is in the mountains north of Atlanta. I paid $16.20 for 5 titles, making them roughly 325 cents each. The Incredibles and The Incredibles 2. I do not have either of these on Blu-ray. They're two of my favorite Pixar films. Definitely The Incredibles holds a better spot in my mind just because I've lived with it more. I've seen The Incredibles 2 once in theaters. I enjoyed it when I saw it in theaters. Have not seen it since, but yeah, I'm excited to own these on Blu-ray. I think I had the original Incredibles on DVD back when I owned DVDs. I no longer own DVDs. Well, I mean, I have like 4 or 5 of them, but that's it. I can't stand how DVDs look on modern flat screen LED TVs. I feel like they're very similar to what VHS looks like to most people. It looks like to me on a modern TV. But Blu-ray, I love, obviously 4K as well. They're made for big TVs, whereas DVD was not. So anyway, excited to add these to the collection, the Incredibles series. Let's see what's next. Blow, starring Johnny Depp and Penelope Cruz. This is a Jonathan Demme film. It's one I quite enjoy. You'll see from this thrift shop, these $5 stickers. I negotiated the price down based on how many I purchased, which was only 5, but yeah, they typically charge these prices, and I negotiated. Don't forget, if you're buying used Blu-rays at a thrift shop or a pawn shop or a flea market or any of those types of places, just ask, right? Ask what the price is, and they'll tell you what their price is. Get the titles that you're interested in, and then ask them, if I buy all of these, will you give them to me for this? As long as you're being reasonable, most people will agree to it. If you're not, they'll throw you back a new price, or if they're super stubborn, you can just walk away from it, or just take the 2 or 3 that you think are really worth the price they're asking. But yeah, don't be shy. Always be negotiating. Blow is a movie I quite enjoy. It's a good drug king drama, kind of a rags to riches to drug addict story. I enjoy Johnny Depp in these films from like the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, I enjoy him in most films for the most part, but definitely enjoy him in this one for sure. That's Blow. Midnight in Paris. This is a Woody Allen film starring Kathy Bates, Adrian Brody, Carla Bruni, Marion Cotillard, Rachel McAdams, Michael Sheen, and Owen Wilson. It's an interesting one. So Woody Allen, controversial filmmaker these days, mostly just because of his personal life, but there was a time that he was releasing a movie a year for decades, and most of them are not necessarily unwatchable, just insignificant, I would say. But every now and then he knocks one out of the park, and I think he definitely did that with Midnight in Paris. It's not just a typical Woody Allen relationship drama. It also has a little bit of like a time travel hook to it, and that makes it a little more watchable. Would never see this on a pawn shop shelf or a thrift store shelf in Orlando. Well, I shouldn't say never. I'm not sure I've ever seen a Woody Allen movie in a pawn shop or thrift store here in Orlando. But there it was, up in Georgia, up in the mountains in Blue Ridge, Georgia, Midnight in Paris. One of the few Woody Allen films I would ever care to own. And finally, for this thrift shop, Mrs. Miniver. I know nothing about this, but it is a winner of 6 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, 1942. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm on a mission to own every Best Picture on Blu-ray, whichever ones are available. I'm not even sure if all of them are available, but as many as possible that are available, I would like to own on Blu-ray and kind of have on the shelf in a row in the order in which they were won. A friend of mine watched this within the last year. He said it was kind of brutal, which is typically the case even for Best Picture winners of this era in the 40s. It's kind of a weird mission to go on to try to own every Best Picture winner, because it's definitely a trend that whatever movie wins Best Picture for that year, while a good movie in the time, a good deal of them don't stand the test of time. And according to my good friend, Mrs. Miniver is one of these movies. Lost to Time, only relevant because it's a Best Picture winner. Other than that, it's a little bit of a slog, but I'm going to add it to the collection and get one step closer to accomplishing my goal. Next up, this was a pawn shop, Action Pawn in Tifton, Georgia. They sold me 10 Blu-rays at $2.16 each. I paid $21.60 for these 10 Blu-rays. I Love You Man. This is a Paul Rudd and Jason Segel comedy, also starring Rashida Jones. Not sure why she didn't get a name up here, but probably because of the time it was released. I think it's possible that this was released before Rashida Jones was well known for Parks and Recreation. I've seen this movie, I think, but I don't remember a frame of it. But I do like all of these people. And so I saw it on the shelf. It was in very good condition. And so, oh, hello. There we go with the library and or rental sticker. Gonna have to remove that a little later. Excited to add this to my comedy collection. Own the Moments. This is with 3 war movies, Tigerland, Heart's War, and Wind Talkers. I believe these 2 are Vietnam related, potentially, and I don't know when Heart's War is set. I would guess just by looking at it, World War II. I have seen all 3 of these movies. I love Tigerland. I've seen it multiple times. Heart's War and Wind Talkers, I don't remember, but I'm looking forward to revisiting them. I own Tigerland and Wind Talkers, I believe, on Blu-ray on the shelf. I wanted to add Heart's War and also save some shelf space, so I picked this one up. Can't go too wrong at $2.16 each. There's Tigerland, Heart's War, and the Wind Talkers. I enjoy these Own the Moments collection as long as they're for films that I don't necessarily need special editions or they don't need their own case. It's just adding to the title total of the collection and making more films available. I'm going to give Heart's War and Wind Talkers a rewatch soon. I'm pretty sure Wind Talkers is going to be average and Heart's War will be forgettable in the end, but we'll see. The Last House on the Left, Collector's Edition, unrated. This is the original early 1970s film, just with packaging that kind of makes it look new. I'm not sure why they did that, because I imagine the only people really interested in this would be people who know of the original and would probably like a more classic style of packaging. They didn't do that. They went with kind of the rebranding on the visuals. Not a bad rebranding. It just looks like kind of a remake of The Last House on the Left, when in reality, this is the original. The case definitely has some issues, but the insert itself is fine. So with a little case replace, this should be a good little eBay sale. I have seen the original Last House on the Left, and while it's an interesting historical document, kind of a micro-budget film that got super popular, one of the first horror films to do that in the early 70s, I doubt I'll ever need to rewatch it. And when I looked it up on eBay, it went for roughly $6 to $9. So I picked it up to resell it to pay for some of the titles I'm going to keep. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, kind of a classic martial arts film from the early 2000s, a movie I quite enjoy. If you've ever seen a shot of my movie wall, which is right behind me, you'll see out of the 3 posters I have on my wall, one of them is from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I enjoy this movie quite a bit. It's kind of the first martial arts movie that I ever saw in a foreign language and really attached myself to. I've certainly seen some since then. Some released here in the US, some not. This one kind of broke out here in the United States. It earned Academy Award nominations, and it's one of the greatest movies ever made. I concur. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The Curse of the Golden Flower. This is one of the films that kind of rode the back of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. It came out a few years later and got play here in the United States. There's like a little bit of like a sticker residue on it right here. I'm not sure where that came from, but I will try to get rid of it. And if not, I will replace the case. Have not seen this movie, though I'm looking forward to watching it. I've seen Hero and House of Flying Daggers and a couple of the others that came from this era, but never got a chance to see Curse of the Golden Flower. Not sure if it's any good. We will see. Good disc. It's one of these older Blu-ray cases with the clear case and the artwork in the background. I love when they used to do that, when they actually bothered to make Blu-ray packaging a little nicer than it needed to be before we entered the recycled case era. Ronin, starring Robert De Niro. I have seen this film as well, but I mean, it has been decades since I've seen this. I have no clue what this is about, whether it's good, anything like that. I'm guessing Robert De Niro is some kind of cop, and maybe he's in Paris. There's a shootout involving a car and some bad guys. That's my best guess. Maybe it's about loyalty and betrayal. Possibly that as well. I picked it up. I'm going to give it a rewatch. I'll probably resell it down the line, although I don't remember it scanning at a particular high rate. Another title that I just never see in Orlando, so I grabbed it. The Tailor of Panama, starring Pierce Brosnan and Jeffrey Rush. I believe Jamie Lee Curtis is in this as well. It's kind of a spy thriller. This was in the era where Pierce Brosnan was coming off of his stint as 007 and was pretty famous for being James Bond, and thus they put him in a bunch of other spy-like thrillers. I have seen this one as well, although I do not recall it. I'm going to give it a watch and then resell it on eBay. I believe it's out of print, although not worth a whole lot from my memory, maybe $6 or $7 at most. I doubt it will stay in the collection, but maybe, who knows? Miller's Crossing. This is a Coen Brothers movie, one of their earlier ones. It's a good movie. It's kind of a gangster 1920s type movie, so it's definitely a period piece, but it definitely has their signature style throughout the film. It's a good one. Speaking of recyclable cases, this is what I was talking about. They just feel a little cheap and a little flimsy, but that's the reality we live in. Anyway, Miller's Crossing, it's a good one, especially if you enjoy Coen Brothers films. Check it out. The Long Kiss Goodnight, starring Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson. This is a movie I love from the late 90s. At the time, Samuel L. Jackson was not necessarily considered an action star. These days, because of the Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies, I think people think of him as kind of at least a guy who could do action. But this is the first movie I remember seeing him in where I was like, oh, Samuel L. Jackson is kind of kicking butt. It was also fun to see Gina Davis in a role where she is also kicking butt big time. I believe he's a spy or she's a spy. I don't remember. Somehow this is related to spies. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. I've never seen it on Blu-ray on a shelf out in the wild used. And so I was excited to grab it for a decent price. Can't wait to rewatch it. I will probably be adding it to the collection unless I dislike it. Ooh, looks like there's a little bit of a cut in the UPC here, which doesn't necessarily bother me because it's going to sit on the shelf for 99.9% of its life. But if I were to resell it, I would make note as well. There's also like a little bit of a pock mark here as well. Either way, I'm going to give all of these used Blu-rays a bath like I normally do. And this one might just get a fresh case as well. And finally, for this store, Long Shot, starring Seth Rogen and Charlize Theron with slipcover. This is a great comedy. It felt like it flew under the radar when it was initially released, but people seem to be finding it. It's one of those movies where even if you're tired of Seth Rogen, for some reason, the way he plays his character in this movie, it's still definitely a Seth Rogen performance. It's a little less in your face than some of his earlier movies and grounded in a story that's interesting and fun. Charlize Theron plays, I think, a Secretary of State who's running for president, and Seth Rogen is a reporter, and they start an unlikely relationship over the course of the movie. It's fun and funny. You can watch it with a significant other and have a good time. Check it out. Long Shot, adding to the collection. I think since it's relatively recent, it scanned between $7 or $8. So it would do decent on resale, but I enjoy it. And again, this is not one that I see on the shelves in Orlando. And so I'm grabbing it and keeping it. Last Georgia stop. This was a pawn shop, the Tifton County Trade and Pawn. I paid $19.44 for 9 Blu-rays, which is $2.16 each. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. I have seen this movie, although it's been quite a while. It's a classic, though. I mean, even Even if you haven't seen the movie, you're constantly reminded of it because it comes up in media. When people think of movies, and specifically horror movies, Psycho is bound to come up for sure. I did not own it on Blu-ray, and so I grabbed it when I saw it on the shelf up in Tifton, Georgia. It's in pretty good condition. The case is a little marked up over here on the side, but good cleaning might actually get rid of a good deal of this. I'm not sure it's actually scratched. It's just like got a little film on it on this corner. Not sure where that came from. It also has a wavy cover as well. Yeah, I'm definitely replacing this case because I'm keeping this Blu-ray and adding it to the collection. Tron Legacy 3D. I already own this on Blu-ray, but I do not own the 3D version, nor will I be keeping this 3D version. I will be reselling it. If you've watched my channel before, you know this, but for those of you who are new, if you're looking to resell Blu-rays online, like you're going to pawn shops and thrift stores and these types of places, and you're buying with the intention to sell, if you see a 3D title on the shelf that you've never seen before, pick it up. Give it a scan, figure out what it's worth because it might be worth reselling. This scanned on eBay for $9, which isn't an insane amount of money, but when you consider the average scan of the average movie you've heard of on a pawn shop shelf is roughly $1 to $2. This was a pretty good pickup for $2. Eventually, I'll sell it for $9, roughly $7 profit, which will go to pay for all the titles I plan on keeping. Pretty good condition. Whenever I'm thinking about purchasing a film that possibly kids have touched, I always check the discs. So I pre-checked these discs. They look good. It's a heavy set with a DVD version, a Blu-ray version, and a 3D Blu-ray version, and a digital copy on disc. It's 4 discs total. It's pretty meaty. Next step, sell it. Ready Player One. I feel like this is the movie that never goes away. This movie has come up so many times on this channel. Maybe there's just a plethora of copies out there that for some reason have held their value. People are just moving them around the country here and there. But yeah, Steven Spielberg movie. I own it on 4K, so I definitely do not need a Blu-ray copy. I think I've bought and sold 2 other Blu-ray copies of Ready Player One before. It's not my favorite Spielberg movie, but I also do not hate it. Yeah, this one in pristine condition with slipcover is going on eBay to help pay for some of the titles that I want to keep. Red Dawn. This is the original early 80s action film starring Patrick Swayze. In this movie, the Russians kind of invade Midtown, Michigan, I think. I'm pretty sure this takes place in Michigan. It's been quite a while since I've watched it, but I can't wait to watch it again. From my memory, it's kind of a kid's film, but with an adult topic attached to it. I'm sure on rewatch, it will play a little bit cheesy, but that's okay. That's what I'm looking for. I bought it to add it to the collection. Not sure I'll keep it forever, but I never see this in Orlando. I only see the remake, so I gave it a pickup. West Side Story. This is an older film, 1961. It won 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Again, another movie I purchased. I mean, I've seen West Side Story. I remember watching it in middle school. I don't remember much about it other than it being a pretty simple story of like gangs and people running around and singing. And yeah, I was not into it. I don't particularly love musicals in general, specifically older musicals. But yeah, I don't hate this movie, certainly. I bought it simply because it won Best Picture. And in this case, the price was right. You know, $2.16 to add to my Oscar Best Picture winners collection. I grabbed it, and now I can check it off the list. Will Ferrell, Casa de mi Padre. This is a lesser known Will Ferrell movie, probably because from my memory, it's entirely in Spanish, I think, with English subtitles. I enjoy this movie. It's an odd one. Occasionally, Will Ferrell will try something just for the sake of trying it, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think my memory of Casa de mi Padre is somewhere in the middle. But there were like certain moments that were actually pretty funny, and there were others that I just don't fully understand even what they were going for. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to give it a rewatch and then resell it, I would guess. I doubt I need this on my shelf forever. Mao's Last Dancer. To be honest, I have no idea why I bought this. Like I just gave it an eBay scan just to see if maybe that was the reason why, and it scanned at like $3. So I've never heard of it. I don't know what it is. It looks like some kind of drama, dancing drama, potentially in another language, just based on these photos here. Although that's the guy from Twin Peaks. I forget his names. Maybe it's in English. I have no clue why I bought this, but I did. I mean, it sells for roughly $3. I paid $2.16. So if I were to resell it, I'd get my money back at minimum. But yeah, maybe someday I'll give it a watch, or maybe I'll just throw it on eBay and get rid of it. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. Just one of those things. Who knows how it ended up in my stack, but it did. Funny Farm and Spies Like Us, a comedy double feature. These are Chevy Chase films, both of which I enjoy. These are both movies that I would love to own on Blu-ray, and now I do. I wish it was in a cleaner package. The disc looks great. The case isn't even all that bad, but the case outside is just super grimy, and the insert itself even has some issues. You can see it right there. It's just like, just holding this in my hand feels disgusting. So I will be replacing the case, giving the thing a good bath. It doesn't look like there's any punctures or anything like that. So hopefully it'll come out looking closer to brand new. I was excited to pick this up because these are two movies that I enjoy. And they're also movies that do not come cheap. I don't think this is necessarily out of print, but it's hard to find. This scanned at roughly $15 on eBay. I definitely don't see this comedy double feature on shelves in Orlando, so I don't know if it was under purchased at the time of release. But yeah, I enjoy both of these movies. If you've never seen either and you enjoyed Chevy Chase, you should definitely check them out. Maybe start with Spies Like Us and graduate to Funny Farm. Excited to add this to the collection. I can always use more classic comedies. And finally, Sid and Nancy Collector's Edition. I've never seen this movie, but it's been on my watch list, so I will be watching this for the first time. It has a pretty good reputation as a good movie. I enjoy kind of music, rags to riches stories, and I also like punk music. So I know a little bit already who Sid and Nancy were. I'm excited to see how they tell the story within this film. This movie is out of print and scanned at roughly $20, so I will probably be reselling it in order to pay for some of the titles that I keep. I'm hoping the movie's good, but not so good that I actually want to keep this. The case is in very good condition. So is the disc itself. This was probably the best score I found in Georgia. It's definitely a title I've never seen live in the flesh in stores in Orlando. So I was excited to grab it. I'm excited to give it a watch, and I'm excited to sell it. Sid and Nancy. All right, 27 titles, total of $57.31. That's an average price of $2.12 each. Estimated value for this pawn shop haul, $153. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your best shot at a free digital code. A weapon unused is a useless weapon. We'll see you next time. Until then, bye.